Hi, and welcome to the JA Malta podcast, Season 2. So, Season 1, we tackled work readiness. We saw how the journey that a student, that a youth goes through when finding their first job. This season is going to tackle a completely different topic, which is financial literacy. So, I welcome you to this season now, the second season, and I thank you for joining us for the first one. In the season, as I said, we'll be tackling financial literacy, so we'll be tackling about things about money management, planning, budgeting, investing, financial health and well-being when dealing with money, sustainable investment, and also how financial literacy affects the economy apart from us individually as well. Today, for the first episode of the season, I have Graziella Grech, COO of Finance Malta. I also like to take this opportunity to thank you. Finance Malta is the partner with JA Malta for this season, and therefore I think it was the right time to also have Graziella here with us. So would you like to introduce yourself, Graziella?
Thank you, Matthew. I'm Graziella Grech, COO at Finance Malta, and it's a huge pleasure for Finance Malta supporting JA throughout this term in relation to these financial literacy podcasts. Finance Malta, this is a foundation, a public-private foundation, and its aim is to promote Malta as an international financial center. And it also fosters collaboration within financial services stakeholders so that we help them to grow and prosper in terms of their turnover, their profits, their visibility. So we're there to help and assist, and that's why we're here as well, to help and assist partners like JA.
Thank you, and we'll discuss this, how this topic relates to also the industry that you obviously operate in. So Graziella, we start off with a bit of a quick fire round. So I'll ask you some questions to break the ice a bit and see how this goes. So what do you prefer, paying by cash or by card?
Card.
Clear answer. Would you prefer having a side hustle, a side initiative, or focus full-time on one job?
Well, it depends.
Okay.
It depends.
On what? On time management?
Exactly.
Excellent. Would you invest in gold or in crypto?
Crypto.
High risk, high reward, therefore, or play it safe?
High risk, high reward.
Books or podcasts?
Podcasts.
Why? You prefer the audio or why podcast?
Because in today's world, we are so moving at a fast pace that we don't have enough time to stop, sit down and read. So podcasts, whilst you're doing something, you're listening to any interesting topic that I might like and, fitting most things at one go.
Excellent. And we'll start off with a few questions to actually understand what is this topic that we will be dealing in the season. So first off is financial literacy. Why do you think yourself and as Finance Malta that it's an important life skill that students or youth should have, or even everyone should have in their lives?
So I have to start by the concept of financial literacy. This has been going on for several years, and many stakeholders within the industry do financial literacy sessions at schools, at universities, at local councils. However, the subject has become so important that the government created what is known as the Malta Financial Services Advisory Council. This is a council that was created to come up with a 10-year national strategy for financial services, and financial literacy forms part of this 10-year national strategy. It is vital for our youths, for our teenagers, for our, people that started their careers, families, etc., to get to know how to budget, plan, save, and be able to understand their goals, short term, long term, because we are seeing lack of financial knowledge, thereby wrong decisions, and obviously that might lead also to impacting the economy in quite negative ways.
So on that point, financial literacy is about planning, is about managing my money. So obviously it has consequences on me, on my family or direct contacts. Why would it impact the economy? How can my bad decision affect the economy?
Because bad decisions normally lead to bad moves. So obviously, if I do something which is not right, it might also implicate that other people that are connected to me might also be impacted, and also on a wider aspect, the economy. So obviously we will start getting more into examples as we go along in the podcast.
Yes, and in terms of, financial literacy, so it's educating myself about money management.
Yes.
Where should I start? What resources are there, or how can I go about it?
So it's very simple. First of all, it depends on the person at what stage of life it's going through. So he's going through. So let's say the person is a student earning a stipend. Can the student manage saving? Probably, although the stipend might be used to buy the educational items, etc. And obviously, yes, the student can also consider saving something. My background goes back to banking. I am a banker, and I dealt with several customers having problems in saving. And I usually gave them this tip, the 50-30-20 rule. What is this? So let's say I have 100 euros, which I earned, irrespective from when it comes from, stipend or income. From this 100 euros, I spent 50 to buy the needs that I want, food, transport, etc. The 30, I consider the ones that I might have. So go to watch a film, a movie, paying, the mobile costs, internet, etc. The other 20, I can consider putting that aside for saving. This is a very simple rule, which will help a lot people as they go along in planning and budgeting, especially when they start earning salaries, because I met people 30 years old and they have been working for the past 10 years, and I usually saw their bank account and tell them, listen, how did you spend your money throughout these 10 years? I mean, earning, let's say, 2,000 euros, and you only managed to save 500. And you know what? They start thinking, staring at me. You're right. I was not able to manage these funds well. So that's how it ended. Mm-hmm. And if doing this simple exercise, the 50-30-20 rule, helps the individual plan, that might help him also to plan on a larger scale.
In fact, good point, because it's also, as you know, financial literacy is one of our pillars, so we deliver programs also in schools, so I think from 7 years on, that we train or we give these tips as advice. And something that I think you would agree in this case is that when it comes to money management, most of it is about habits.
Yes.
So creating good habits, breaking down the bad ones, that you might not be budgeting, and we'll talk about budgeting, and replacing them with good habits that even starting from a young age, saving some money at the side gives you also that discipline. When it comes to budgeting, therefore, or planning this, even to observe the 50-30-20, is this difficult? Can I do it on my own? Is there something I can get help from? In simple terms, how should I go about it?
I think that the major issue is that the individuals have difficulties in identifying needs from wants. So if I want this, is it truly something that I need or something that I can do without it?
Yes.
So this is something very simple, but at the same time, it has to be reasoned out throughout our whole life.
Yes.
Because if we make the wrong decisions, if I buy a car that I don't afford, that might mean that certain expenses, I will not be able to cover them because I spent money on something that I didn't afford to buy. So this is how it goes. Now, in terms of budgeting, I think it all boils down also to the roots, the parents. When we see them budgeting, there are parents that know how to budget. However, there are parents that need help in terms of budgeting. And this also features in the way people live, in the way people spend money. Do they afford to purchase a €1,000 mobile when they're earning, let's say, minimum wage? No. So these are the reasonings that people have to do, and obviously children will
replicate any habits from family.
And that's where the economy gets impacted, because wrong decisions mean that people will continue influencing others, and obviously this is not
There's a
right.
snowballing effect on the
Exactly.
economy that everyone is and it also affects from a policy point of view, because obviously there's the study of economics and the fiscal policy, but that is based on people following certain assumptions that one does on the economy.
Exactly.
So if people are not going by these common assumptions, then certain fiscal policy might not be having the consequences that they were designed for.
I would like to add also, Matt, in terms of budgeting, that the individual has to set goals. So I'm budgeting for what? For something short term, for something long term. How long should I continue to budget for this? And if I don't manage to budget for this, can I consider something else, for example, taking a loan? Because today there are many ways how to source goals. But obviously, a person has to decide on the way, the road to be taken according to the end result that the person wants to achieve.
This segues well, because I would like to sort of pause a bit from the discussion and talk a bit more from a personal experience. So you mentioned goals.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example from Graziella that actually you set a goal? If you set a goal, how would you go about it? And how did you manage to achieve any big financial goal you had set?
Yeah. So during the past 3 years, I decided to start a master's degree. And as a mother of a 15-year-old son, it was very challenging. I mean, I have to manage my expenses. I have to take care of my son, his educational needs, and also financing this master's degree, which obviously costed me €20,000, which is not a small amount. So, in terms of the budgeting, seeing the salary, the needs, how much I need to spend on food, electricity, bills, etc., those are crucial to survive.
Yes.
The wants, we need to have some wants, but there are times that, either the bills are more than we expect, so we have to fine-tune down the wants and spend less on the wants so that I can concentrate on the financing of the degree. At the end, if you want to achieve something and the income continues to come in at a steady flow, as long as the person has discipline and the way how to manage is regular in terms of savings, then the end result is achieved. So
and that is a big part of financial literacy, is actually
yes.
knowing how to manage and budget this, especially if we go back to things we were discussing before, planning also for pension, for example.
Exactly.
So the importance that starting young, because ultimately the best time to start a pension plan and planning for your retirement is yesterday. So how do you see the Maltese community, society, managing pensions, sort of from your experience in the financial services? How are we doing there, and what is the message we need to give in terms of pensions?
I believe, Matt, that the Maltese culture has a tendency to resist change, in the sense that our parents, our grandparents, they are used to receiving the traditional pension, which is 2/3 of the gross annual salary. However, when it comes to quantifying how much that will be in 10, 20, 30 years' time, in view that the value of the money is constantly going down because of erosion, inflation, etc., the amount that is being paid as pension now will not be enough to finance our needs in the
Later
coming
on,
years.
yeah.
So that's why the people need to start thinking about pensions as from a very young age, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So as soon as they start their full-time job, a pension plan should be started as well. Now, people might say, oh my God, saving for 40 years. What will happen in 40 years' time? Yes, that's what I used to say when I started working at the age of 17. Today I'm 45. I mean, years pass, and if we don't start, then we don't have anything to actually plan.
Yep.
And also having under the sheet if we require something. So what I say is, first of all, this needs to be also embedded from the employers. Because today there are several employers that, as part of employee packages, they give them pension plans. So part of the salary goes directly to
pensions,
save
to
for the
save,
pension, and that is amazing. And we really encourage, as Finance Malta, employers to continue investing in the employees. But for self-employed and for people who want to have something, yes, they need to consider,
Looking
first
into
of all,
private pensions.
if I can save 100 euros today, it doesn't mean that I can continue saving 100 euros in 10 years' time. That could increase as well. So we can adjust.
Start small and
Exactly.
adjust later on.
Exactly.
And concepts that the audience needs to also appreciate in this is the concept of compound interest when
Exactly.
you start young, and also highlight, and this is also part of financial literacy, that although we call or we mention that pensions are actually 2/3 of your gross of your last 10 years, but it's also capped.
Exactly.
So these are important facts that people need to realize moving forward, also from a financial literacy point of view.
And I have to admit the importance of financial planning that many banks and stockbrokers offer, because it all depends also on the expertise of the individual when investing in these pension
To
funds.
seek advice as well
Exactly.
from
By
reliable
professional
sources.
people,
Yeah.
definitely.
And thinking about professional advice, moving from, we discussed budgeting, savings, and also planning, investing. So historically, from the data we have, the Maltese society typically is quite good at saving. Our banks have high level of savings compared to other European banks. But when it comes to investing, we tend to fall always under the bond issue. Why do you think this is so, and what other things should people familiarize themselves when it comes to investing?
Again, cultural issues, in the sense that people are used to receiving that fixed income, because
Okay.
bonds or fixed deposits, it's all about having that fixed rate of return coming in every month or every year.
That you can plan it as well.
Exactly. I remember when I joined the bank 20 years ago, people used to have several term deposits, and the interest was used as a top-up to the
Of the-
pension.
okay.
Today, we cannot do this because the rates of interest are what they are.
Okay.
So the bonds, yes, they are attractive, but obviously it also depends on the economic situation, because normally when the interest rates go down, the bonds are not that attractive. However, as you are saying, people need to also start considering other forms of investment.
And diversification is
Yes,
important.
it's very important. So there are shares, there are these digital currencies today, there is also commodities like gold and silver. So it also depends, as I said, on the expertise of the investor. So is this good, is this bad? It's not up to me. It depends on what the investor wants, the risk reward, and ultimately, if the risk that the investor is ready to take, if something goes wrong, he will be ready to also take that risk and, let's say, find less than what he originally invested. So that's very important.
So we're talking about investing, but some people tell you, I don't even have money to get to the end of the month. I have debts to pay. again, I think it all boils down to the planning, right? Of restricting yourself from some wants if need be, to plan a bit. But any advice on managing debt, sort
Yes.
of in terms of if I took a loan for some reason or another and I'm struggling, is there help? Is there something I can do to try and recover a bit from debt management? let's say?
Yes. So today banks work on affordability. So unless the person affords to actually pay the debt, the loan will not be issued.
Granted, yeah.
So definitely, if there wasn't any drastic change in the economic situation of the individual, if there's issue in debt management, that means that the person is not budgeting properly. Now, what the person should do, very simple. Just have a piece of paper, writing down the monthly salary, what are the expenses, the debt, anything that might have cropped up, unexpectedly, like for example, a faulty equipment or something, and what's remaining at the end of the month. Is this going on regularly? Is this a one-off? If this is a one-off, fine. If this is regularly, then that means that you need to adjust something within the needs and the wants. Normally, the wants are converted to needs,
Yes.
and that's where the
'Cause
issue
it's
is.
convenient as well
Yes.
when you're
That's the
planning.
main issue. However, I encourage people not to be afraid of looking at loans if they really need to set a long-term goal or a short-term goal, because loans are there also to help people budget.
Yes.
I mean, rather than paying a lump sum to have something, it's better than I save
manage your
and
cash,
having
your
something.
cash flow better.
Exactly, especially if the affordability at the end of the month is healthy.
So, Graziella, we were talking about investing and different options for people to look at investing, because it could potentially be a new source of revenue even now or maybe in the future. But a lot of people say, listen, I'm struggling reaching the end of the month between salaries, between my wage. I have debt to pay. So when people are struggling with debt management, do you have any advice, any help that you can give to people that struggle with that and keep saying, I'm not saving, let alone investing? What's your take on that?
So I have to say a comment about the way banks today lend, because unless the people have enough affordability to take the loan and also live their own life, the loan will not be issued. So the debt management all boils down to the budgeting and expenditure revenue that we are doing on a monthly basis. So if something happens that is a one-off, that's one thing, because obviously you need to go around it and try to see how best to manage that situation. However, if this is something ongoing, then my advice would be that the person sits down,
Go back to
takes
the
a
drawing board.
takes a piece of paper. What am I receiving as income? How am I spending the money? The amount that I'm repaying? What am I left with? What's going on?
And are my needs real needs? We go back to
Exactly.
that argument of needs
Because
and wants.
most of the cases, the wants are exchanged to needs. So this interpretation,
It's fluid.
exactly, and there it goes in terms of mismanagement
Yes,
of
yes,
the funds. So
To wrap up this discussion, Graziella, we mentioned obviously budgeting and planning. Any other last advice you would give to people who are getting interested in this, wanting to know more on how they can manage their money? Any other last advice?
my advice would be talk to your banks. Obviously, today there are very qualified people that can help in doing simple financial planning, having bank accounts, splitting the main account, the one that the individual uses for the day-to-day expenses, and having another one to have that 20 part saved there. Also, if a person wants to see other options in terms of investing, crypto, etc., yes, it's very important that the individual speaks with qualified and experienced people, and also the pension part. It's never too late to start, and starting from a young age will help the individual to plan better as he goes along.
Thank you, Graziella, for that conversation. I think we shared some key concepts that someone who's interested could look into. These matters more. And I thank you for this, and I also thank Finance Malta for supporting JA in all this. Something that I would like to ask the audience there to join us on our socials, follow our socials, because we share also content there that people might find interesting to look for information and all the events that we organize. The last thing I'll say is, as we spoke, seek advice and do not shy away from talking about money. The taboo of talking about money or financial difficulties should be broken, and we should talk and discuss money management and money matters with our peers, because it also affects our well-being, and it's something that we will also be discussing in future episodes. So thank you, Graziella. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode.